Goal of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig. Let's go! On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Let's go! Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Josh Hennig.
Well, today has been a sprint, to say the least. A sprint from beginning to end. 6 hours of having to keep up with the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles have already lost not one, not two, but three different free agents. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. All right, so here's what we're going to do today, because the news is becoming so hot and heavy. We're going to discuss and react to every move that relates to the Eagles. And then you guys can chime into the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free, thanks to First Bank of Seattle. And we are live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. So, however you want to join the conversation, you can. You and me for the next hour reacting to the news of the day. Now, we're going to work backwards because the news that popped off basically 30 minutes ago, I think is probably the most interesting item of all. Because the reality is, and I'm not saying this to be facetious, I'm saying this genuinely and realistically. We all knew, if we had half a sense of what was going on around us, that the likelihood of Milton Williams and Josh Sweat coming back was very unlikely. It was very unlikely that you were going to get two players in a market that was going to demand a high level of pay for them to come back. Just a reality. The Isaiah Rodgers and Darius Slay news, a little bit more complicated. But we'll start off with the glamour position in the NFL, that being the quarterback position. And the news came out just over 30 minutes ago. Kenny Pickett, South Jersey's own, has been traded to the Cleveland Browns. In return for Pickett, they get Dorian Thompson-Robinson and a fifth-round pick. Now, what makes this move significant is, one, Philadelphia did not trade the player that I think most of us thought they were going to trade. And I think it's a clear sign that the rest of the league doesn't value Tanner McKee the way Philadelphia does. Tanner McKee does not have the value in the NFL that Philadelphia sees in him. Read into that what you will, but that's reality. The reality is that for as much as you and I say, hey, Tanner McKee has XYZ talent, the rest of the league says, nope, don't see it. Because if they did, Philadelphia would have traded him instead of Pickett. When Howie Roseman was in Indianapolis last week and talking with all the GMs and all the executives, if you think for 1 minute the only player they talked about was Pickett, you're crazy. You don't know how this game works. The way the game works is Howie Roseman was open for business. And he found out that Kenny Pickett had a greater value in the NFL than Tanner McKee. And the best value he could get was a fifth-round pick and a backup quarterback. Now, why would Kenny Pickett have that value? Well, at the end of the day, remember, the Cleveland Browns they are technically without a quarterback right now. Jameis Winston, who started a ton of games for them last year, is a free agent and not returning. Deshaun Watson might not even play the entire season. I don't anticipate Cleveland getting in on the Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson sweepstakes. And Adam Schefter reported earlier today, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, he reported that Kirk Cousins is not leaving Atlanta anytime soon. And that Atlanta has basically no incentive or no reason to move on from Kirk Cousins just yet. So Cleveland needed to go out and find somebody, someone who has starting experience in the NFL. And that would be Kenny Pickett. Now, Pickett, mixed results in Pittsburgh. Played well in Philadelphia. Not great, well. He played well. But he played well enough that a team like... It's going well enough that a team like Cleveland would say, I would rather take him than a bunch of other options. This was a move where both sides realized they need each other more than anything else, and they made it work. Now, what does this mean for Philadelphia? Obviously, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a guy who is an athletic quarterback. He is much more mobile than both Hurts and Tanner McKee. DTR, as his nickname goes, was a very athletic quarterback at UCLA. And while I was at UCLA, what offense did he run? He ran the Chip Kelly spread RPO offense. So he already has some familiarity with what Philadelphia would do in certain circumstances. As a result, getting DTR means that you have a quarterback who is going to be a legitimate contender for the backup job. Now, Mike Garafolo of NFL Network is reporting that he views this move as a clear distinction that Tanner McKee is now QB2. I tend to think it's more of open competition. So we'll see what exactly happens when we get closer to OTAs and training camp. But again, the news off the top, Kenny Pickett no longer an Eagle. And as I explained right here on 97.3 ESPN, it's two reasons. One, Cleveland needs a legitimate starting quarterback, and they were running out of options in free agency. Number two, the value was not there for Tanner McKee. If it was, it would have traded McKee. It's as simple as that. Instead of Pickett. So Philadelphia, to the joy and delight of some of you out there who looked at Tanner McKee and you fell in love like Dave Gettleman did with Daniel Jones, you still got your quarterback, all right? Good for you. Now, this doesn't really impact the Eagles' offense necessarily or the team moving forward, except for if and when Jalen Hurts gets injured. And then you have to ask yourself, and if you're being honest, would you rather Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a mobile quarterback with some starting experience, who is a mediocre quarterback at best in NFL terms, or would you rather have a 6'6" quarterback who could barely move, who's a statue, who the only way he was able to make some good passes against the Giants was on bootlegs? Your choice. With your text just a bit, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Now, that was the news that dropped about 40 minutes ago. Earlier today, Philadelphia lost both Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. And I thought the report from Jeremy Fowler is kind of our starting point for this conversation. Because before the Washington Commanders signed Javon Kinlaw, According to Jeremy Fowler, Washington tried to pursue both Milton Williams and Josh Sweat in free agency. Take a listen.
Washington tried that a little bit. They flirted with Milton Williams and Josh Sweat.
Well, Washington got
that was flirted with.
Kinlaw.
They got Kinlaw
How
instead.
about that? 3-year, $45 million deal.
Sweat's going to be one of the best signings of free agency.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat can rush the passer. Whoever gets him, the dude's just a bona fide pass rusher.
Go to Detroit.
So let's start with that. The genesis of today was that there was a chance at one point that Washington could have gotten either Milton Williams or Josh Sweat. When Washington realized that the price of those two guys was out of the range they wanted to pay, they gave Javon Kinlaw, a former first-round pick, a 3-year, $45 million contract. Then you had a situation where Carolina was attempting to finalize a deal, according to Adam Schefter, and that Milton Williams was going to get somewhere around $20 million a year, which is at that point $5 million more than Kinlaw. Well, Diana Rossini of The Athletic, their NFL insider, reported about a half hour after Schefter's report that there were several teams trying to pry Milton Williams away from the Panthers. Then an hour later, all of a sudden, here comes Milton Williams with this massive contract offer of $26 million per year. Over $100 million of contract value. What a massive upgrade. You have a guy who's potentially getting $20 million from Carolina, now getting $26 million from New England, which is $11 million more than what Carolina was offering. So then we get the report from the NFL Network that the three finalists for Milton Williams were the Patriots, who signed him, the Carolina Panthers, and the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals, they couldn't get Milton Williams, so they turned their attention to Josh Sweat. Now, Sweat got less money than Milton Williams, okay? $76 million valued contract versus Milton Williams over, I think it was $104 million was the value of his contract. But the bigger conversation about this is how we got here. And former NFL player and front office executive Louis Riddick explains the reason why Milton Williams and Josh Sweat got the contracts they did is because of the Eagles' development of said players.
Tip of the cap to them that they developed Milton Williams in the way they did. They took a chance on Josh Sweat with his injury history coming out. You see the match where he goes out to Arizona, Josh Sweat with Jonathan Gannon. Again, those kind of pairings are the ones that always bear the most fruit. And Milton Williams, he's now top 7 in terms of average per year amongst all D linemen. He's right behind Christian Williams at $27 million.
It's an amazing point by Louis Riddick that you had two players that most people would have never given a shot at, right? One guy had multiple knee injuries in Josh Sweat. The other one in Milton Williams was a third-round draft pick who some people in the Eagles organization didn't even want the Eagles to draft. And they get them both. And while it stinks to lose those guys, to me, it shows you, Eagle fans, that you should have confidence in the Philadelphia Eagles. The fact that this is an organization that can find talent. They are an organization that can reload on the lines. Now, if this was linebacker, if this was safety, I wouldn't be so sure. Because the Eagles' history is not doing a great job at drafting and developing those kind of players. But as Louis Riddick goes on to say, the Eagles have the luxury of letting Milton Williams and Josh Sweat walk.
Think about if you're Philadelphia right now. Think about the depth they must have at D-line to go, hey, you know what, Josh, we're going to let you hit the market. Milton, you're going to get paid. We're good. We
Shout
still
out
have
to
somebody.
Howie
We still have
Roseman.
Jalen Hunt. We still have, a bunch of young guys on the inside. I mean, it's just, yeah, it is. They have stockpiled this football team for sure, and they're getting younger and younger without a whole lot of drop-off in terms of talent.
And the good thing for Philadelphia is it's day one of this stuff. There can be a lot more moves and a lot more maneuvering. And in some ways, this is where Howie really earns his reputation, in that Howie Roseman does a great job at sitting back and letting the market come to him. He does a great job at letting everyone else lose their mind. And then he calm and collected, just do what needs to be done. Some of the biggest moves the Eagles have made in the franchise history under Howie Roseman have not been on day one. In fact, some of those moves happened in August. I'm talking about the trades for Ronald Darby and C.J. Garner-Johnson. So I'm not going to overreact or underreact to what the team looks like right now. But what I will say is I think most of us expected this to happen. Now, if you want to say, well, is Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, Moro Ajomo, Thomas Booker, are they enough? Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm not going to sit here and act like they are the answer. And I'm not going to sit here and defend everything the Eagles do. But what I will say is I do think that there is something to Philadelphia being able to develop their own players and not have to depend on free agency. Look at a team like the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears had to spend a ton of financial and draft capital resources to rebuild their offensive and defensive lines to the point where they pretty much are done. They can't add anything else to their roster, basically, without compromising something. They have replaced 4 of the 5 offensive line starters. They replaced 2 of the 4 defensive linemen. The Bears had to overhaul their entire lines because they don't know how to build through the draft. I think that's where the value of Philadelphia is. It's the fact that you have a team that knows how to retool at those positions. Now, before we hit the break, I did want to say the one move that shocked me was Isaiah Rodgers. I really thought that he was coming back. I really thought that Philadelphia was going to find a way to bring him back because of how much they used him last year. He goes to the Vikings for what is the equivalent of $8 million guaranteed in a 2-year, $15 million contract. It's almost, if you look at the structure, it's almost like a 1-year deal. You're telling me Philadelphia could have given him that contract? Or did he learn that Philadelphia was not going to just hand him the starting job? Did Minnesota promise him a starting job? Or did Philadelphia say, hey, if you come back, it's you and Keely Ringo for the outside job? And he might have been like, yeah, I don't know about that. Or did Philadelphia just say, look, we're drawing a hard line here. We'll give you a certain amount of guaranteed money, but you got to earn the rest of it. And he might have said, thanks, but no thanks. We don't know yet. But the Isaiah Rodgers move surprises me because if Slay is not coming back and now you don't have Isaiah Rodgers, who's playing outside corner? Because I don't know if you want to move Cooper DeJean to the outside. Nothing against Cooper DeJean, but I do wonder, are the Eagles a better defense with him in the slot versus the outside? Number 2, is Keely Ringo developed enough to take over the outside corner slot? Or does Howie Roseman have his eyes on somebody else in free agency or through a trade. All right, coming up next, I'm going to check in with all of you guys at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. We will hear from Steven Ventnor, Dan in EHT, Jeff in Ocean City, and more. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Monday night, the first day of the NFL offseason frenzy. Your guys' message is next on 97.3 ESPN.
Listen to all the madness. Wide open. March Madness is coming to 97.3 ESPN.
We're famous for buffalo wings. The Pickett comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Pickett.
On game day, don't wing it. Take the trip to the Pick. South Jersey's king of the wing. Try their award-winning wings, tails, and ears in mild, spicy, or hot, or signature flavors like garlic parm, hot honey, Jim Beam maple, and more. For eat-in or takeout, get your chicken wing fix on Route 206 at the Piccadilly Inn. Join the flock. Follow them on Facebook for events and game day specials.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Fabric Talk. Hello, my love. I am your living room carpet. I see everything. I feel everything. After a while, I smell like everything, including Sir Pickles, who you snuggle with while binging that dating show you can't stop watching. So, how about we freshen things up with Febreze Fabric Spray? Oh, and a big spray for my pals, couch and ottoman. Ah, yes, refreshing. Breathe happy, Febreze. La, 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 la.
Is that a new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G?
Yeah, I got it for free when I joined Cricket Nation.
Sounds pretty great.
At Cricket, anyone can get a new phone when they switch.
Whoa.
With a high-quality camera, meaning more flattering selfies for all, and super fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone!
Okay, I'll switch.
Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. These terms and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing?
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NBA, the Sixers in Atlanta tonight. They'll take on the Hawks. Philadelphia coming off a 126-122 win on Sunday against the Utah Jazz. Quentin Grimes and Lonnie Walker each had 25 points. This snapped Philadelphia's 3-game losing skid. This will be a 2-game trip. They'll stop in Toronto to take on the Raptors Wednesday night. And in the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles pass rusher Josh Sweat, now an Arizona Cardinal, reunites with Jonathan Gannon on a 4-year 3-year deal worth $76.4 million. The Flyers are back on the ice Tuesday at home against the Ottawa Senators. This will continue their 7-game homestand. On Sunday, they fell to the New Jersey Devils 3-1 and have now lost 4 straight games. They've only managed 3 goals in their last 3. Jamie Drysdale scoring the Flyers' only goal in Sunday's loss. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
If you or someone you know needs help getting through a difficult time, start with NJ211. When you reach out to 211, we can connect you to help with housing, utilities, food, childcare, senior services, income support, healthcare, legal issues, and more. Help is available in over 150 languages, and the service is free, confidential, and available 24/7. Need help? Dial 211, text 898-211, or search nj211.org.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. What a spectacular spring-like afternoon, and we'll do it one more time tomorrow before temperatures go down again, temporarily. Clear and cool tonight. You'll want a jacket or sweater shortly after sunset, low of 40 degrees. Mostly sunny tomorrow, even warmer than today, high of 64. Cooling down Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy, high of 52. Sun and clouds and only 50 on Thursday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Are you ready for a breakfast game changer? Discover Hot Bagels and more with locations in Margate, Northfield, Summers Point, and Atlantic City. They serve hot, fresh bagels crafted daily in a variety of flavors that will keep you coming back for more. Don't miss their homemade tuna and chicken salads along with delicious soups. Plus, check out their lunch specials and party platters. Perfect for gatherings and holiday meetings. Swing by Hot Bagels and more and experience the bagel game changer today. Visit hotbagelsandmore.com or stop in today.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
When you're talking about Philadelphia, you know this is a football team that's always just very resourceful in the draft. Like, I think as long as you still have, when you just look at their depth chart, when you still look at the fact that Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter will be the guys who start in the middle. You know, Jalix Hunt will take the place of Josh Sweat on the outside. He'll be a guy who'll be in the mix again, along with Nolan Harris. I mean, they're still going to be fine. Yeah. They're going to be fine, and they will find more people. They always stockpile defensive linemen.
That was Louis Riddick earlier today on ESPN television. Josh Hennig back here on 97.3 ESPN in this hour of Game Night, being brought to you by the return of boxing to Tropicana Atlantic City showroom on Saturday, March 22nd. Don't miss your chance to see some of the top boxers from South Jersey in action, headlined by undefeated Atlantic City fighter Justin Figueroa and the professional debut at Pleasantville boxer Julio Sanchez III. Get your tickets now at Ticketmasters.com to ensure you don't miss Boxing Insider Promotions action-packed event on Saturday, March 22nd, inside the Tropicana showroom in Atlantic City. Go to Ticketmasters.com to get your tickets. You do not want to miss this action-packed event, as I wrote about at 97.3 ESPN.com. 5 undefeated boxers from the New Jersey area, all in action on Saturday, March 22nd. All right. As promised, let's get to the text board. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in. He says, I don't find any of the Eagles' moves so far shocking. However, I believe the Eagles should keep Dallas Goedert for one more year. Thanks for the memories, Kenny Pickett. Oh, yeah, and signed Becton. That's from Jeff in Ocean City. So for those who don't know, Jeff in Ocean City is referring to the reports by Inside the Birds podcast and Josina Anderson about Dallas Goedert. This is what Jeff Mosher, Eagles insider, said on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN about Dallas Goedert's, shall we call it, availability to leave the nest.
You have a situation unfolding like Dallas Goedert, where they're probably, from what we understand, this from Inside the Birds reporting that they've given him permission to seek a trade, and we'll see what becomes of that.
Listen, it's a conundrum, and I understand where Jeff from Ocean City is coming from. And there's a lot of metrics out there. They say that Philadelphia is a better team with Goedert than without him. But if there's going to be anyone you move on from, if there's anyone who's going to be a cap casualty, is it not going to be a guy who can't stay healthy? Look at the last two guys they cut. James Bradbury and Darius Slay. Slay and Bradbury have both shown that injuries were a detriment to them in the last 18 months. So it would make sense, based on the Eagles' pattern, that they would look at a tight end who is very good when he plays, but when he's not on the field, they have some problems. And so, for me, I am not for trading Dallas Goedert. I want to be very, very clear about that. I'm not anti-Dallas Goedert, but I understand from the Eagles' perspective, they see a player who is not available. He gets injured every single year. And it may be time to invest in a younger, more durable player. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I understand it. Now, if they do move on from Goddard, I think it's very, very likely that they find someone to replace him and don't just say, hey, Calcaterra, here you go. Have fun. Because what Goddard does that Calcaterra cannot, or shall I say Calcaterra's not as good at Goddard at, because it's not that he can't, he's just not at the same level. Goddard is a very, very good run blocker for a tight end. Calcaterra has demonstrated a willingness, but not a aptitude, shall I call it, for blocking. I think that's the best way I would explain it. So, again, I hear what you're saying, Jeff. And by the way, about Becton, the Becton situation is interesting because there is some speculation out there that the Eagles want to keep Becton, but the Becton camp and the Eagles front office are at a crossroads when it comes to the money, basically. I think Becton and his agent would like their client to get a certain contract value. And I think Philadelphia is a little apprehensive to give him that contract. To give him that contract because Philadelphia knows that they have only so much money to work with. Remember, they have already given a bunch of cash up front to Zach Bond and Saquon Barkley. So you could only give so much more money out. You could only shuffle so much more money around. You could only do so much more with the money until there's no more money. is the easiest way I could put it out there. I think it's very, very clear that the Philadelphia Eagles know and understand that if they give Becton the maximum what he wants, they are going to be unable to do some of the other moves they want to make. Because there is a salary cap, and Jeffrey Lurie is not running out blank checks. It's one thing to give a bunch of money up front to the league offensive player of the year and a finalist for defensive player of the year. It's another thing to give out that same money to a guy who his first good year of his entire career. I think from the Eagles' perspective, that's kind of how they're approaching it. Steven EHT chimes in at 609-403-0973. Steve says, I think you have it backwards, Josh. They want to keep McKee as their backup. You are overvaluing Pickett. If you really think the Browns are thinking he could be an answer at starting quarterback, Pickett is legit one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. Well, a couple things, Steven EHT. First of all, if Pickett's one of the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen, you have a lot of recency bias because you're forgetting about, let's see here, Nathan Peterman, you're forgetting about Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Achilles Smith, you're forgetting about Cade McNown, you're forgetting about, I'm trying to think who else has been trash, EJ Manuel, JP Lossman. I can do this game. It's like the Patino game. So-and-so ain't walking through that door, right? It's like the opposite. No, so-and-so is walking out the door. Don't do the one of the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen, because first of all, that's subjective, and secondly, you have recency bias. Third, if you go back and watch the game versus Washington, you realize that if Devonta Smith doesn't drop that ball, the Eagles probably win that game, and Kenny Pickett's got a win in the column next to his name. Pickett is not one of the worst quarterbacks. And if that's what you think, then I think you need to have an honest conversation with yourself. Maybe try to understand why you have so much disdain for somebody who, is he one of the best 10, 20 quarterbacks in the league? No. But is he arguably better than some other guys in the league? Like, for example, Josh Dobbs, Gardner Minshew. Minshew played horrible last year. Aiden O'Connell. A couple of years ago, when Easton Stick had to come in and play games for Justin Herbert. I certainly think Kenny Pickett's better than Ben DiNucci. Do you forget how horrible he is? So let's not get carried away emotionally about this, Steve and EHT. Okay? Now, if you want to say that I'm overvaluing Pickett because of the Browns trade, that is a more beneficial conversation, because Pickett is a guy that I think is beauties in the eyes of the beholder. I remember when the Steelers drafted him, I was so confused. I didn't understand why the Steelers valued that guy so much. I was like, did you watch him play all 5 years of college, or did you only watch the last year of college? And I felt what happened was the Steelers only watched 1 year of college ball and said, that's the guy we want to draft, and completely ignored the other few years before his final year. And I think also this is where the Dave Gettleman rule comes in. It's the falling in love with a quarterback. When the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett, when the Giants drafted Daniel Jones, when the Raiders drafted Jamarcus Russell, these teams become infatuated with certain skills, with certain abilities. And it's like, come on, dude, can we just have a rational conversation? So I think if you want to say that there is an overvaluation of Pickett, I certainly think you're not wrong there. But again, it doesn't change the fact that the Browns right now don't have a bona fide starting quarterback. Because Deshaun Watson is injured, and who knows if he's ever going to come back and be a competent quarterback ever again. And you're not going to tell me that Dorian Thompson-Robinson was going to be the answer next year. And with no Kirk Cousins available, and Aaron Rodgers is not going to Cleveland. We all know that. Okay, we're not. Come on. Me and Steve and EHT are probably going to be able to run the Browns front office better than any team that wants to bring in Aaron Rodgers and think he is going to be the answer to their problems. Okay. And this is not a political thing with Aaron Rodgers. I'm trying to say this as professionally as possible, because I do respect this microphone, and I do respect the privilege it is to have this microphone in front of my face. I was incredibly disappointed with Aaron Rodgers this past year. For a man who is as physically gifted as he is as a quarterback, as a thrower, and as intelligent as he is and as he has displayed in his time in the NFL, for him to have some of the poor games that he had this past year was honestly disturbing to watch. And I don't care if Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers have a bromance. I don't care if the Vikings desperately need a quarterback. I don't care if the Giants desperately need a quarterback. Whoever ends up with Aaron Rodgers, you better be prepared. Because you're either going to get the worst of Aaron Rodgers or the best. There's no in between. Aaron Rodgers seems to be incapable of putting on cruise control. He seems incapable of actually changing all four tires and then driving on the road. Aaron Rodgers is either pedal to the metal with all good tires, or he's driving 10 to 15 miles under the speed limit and putting on the wrong turn signal with 4 bald tires. All right, enough about that. Dan in EHT chimes in at 609-403-0973. Dan in EHT says Sweat was an underachiever until last season. Ironically, he has a breakout year and a contract year. I don't trust signing players like that. Sweat was the beneficiary of an historic back 7 for the Philadelphia Eagles. You're right. When players do well in their contract year, you definitely don't want to trust that Dan EHT. There is a part of you that wonders, why did you only play well at this point? Now, I will say it was not the best year of his career only. He did have other years where he played very well. I think Philadelphia realized that Sweat was going to win a big contract. And there were going to be a lot of teams that were willing to pay that number. And I think Philadelphia, realized that for a guy who, in his 7 years in Philadelphia, only had 3 seasons with 7 or more sacks. Last year he had 8. 2 years ago he had 11. And the year before that he had 7.5. He never done better than any of that. So for a guy to want to go to market and say, I want $75+ million, it's a big ask because the guy was only productive in certain situations. And I think that is the issue with Sweat. And I think that, Sweat has complained about this in the past, and I'll just bring it up here just for conversation's sake. Sweat has complained that people like to bring up his knee injury history, and he doesn't like that. And I have to wonder, is there a part of the Philadelphia Eagles that look at Josh Sweat and say, we may have already gotten the maximum out of him? I'm not saying that's literally what they thought, but I'm just curious. Again, to use the car analogy, did we take a used car that we didn't think was going to get us 100,000 miles, and we got 200,000 miles out of it, and now it's at 250,000 miles, and either the car is still running fine and it's still running well? Do we trade it in anyway because we know eventually this thing is going to give out? And if we don't want to invest the money that goes into fixing it. Just a thought. Finally, Steven Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973. Steve says, Josh, I've been telling Mike Gill for weeks that everyone on this roster is going to have more valuable for being on this team, for knowing how to win, just being in the building. Look how much they got paid. This is absolutely insane. And it's all because they come from an organization that knows how to win. Really quick to that point. I think that is kind of what Louis Riddick was letting on. That is, he was crediting the Eagles' development of these players. He was crediting the Eagles, everything that they did with the players as a reason why for their success. And I think that is, the saying a rising tide raises all boats, but it's also the idea of when you are, as Nick Sirianni says, you cannot be great without the greatness of others. So now you have these individuals being taken out of great situations. Can they still achieve greatness outside of the environment they were in? And teams like the Patriots and the Cardinals and the Vikings are betting on that. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but I do think there is something to that. Okay? Steve also jumps on and says, I think the Eagles should sign an outside corner like Fulton and maybe a number 3 receiver like Elijah Moore, and then draft defensive and offensive line. I'll sign a box safety like Chin. Well, Chin has already been picked up by somebody. I saw his name earlier, and I don't remember exactly who picked him up. Yeah, Jeremy Chin is now a Raider. So that's a 2-year deal worth over $16 million. So the Chin suggestion is out. I don't hate the Fulton idea. I just don't know. Is Fulton going to be a guy who ends up being the second and third wave and the Eagles get him on a cheaper deal? And then, as you mentioned, you're 100% right. The defensive, offensive line, they're going to totally draft that. I don't think Elijah Moore's coming here. They already got Jahan Dotson. So, but I think that the Fulton outside corner might be interesting, and I think that you're right. But you're not the only one who said that the Eagles are going to focus on the defensive, offensive line in the draft. It's it is definitely a direction they are going in, and I don't think we can ignore it at all because Philadelphia has historically invested a ton of resources into the trenches. So it does not surprise me one bit that Philadelphia is looking at this offseason and trying to be patient and not reactionary, because a lot of teams love to be reactionary. A lot of teams love, look at what happened with the Jets today. Did the Jets need to sign Justin Fields on day one of free agency? Absolutely not. But what the Jets could have done is they didn't have to jump on Justin Fields, but they thought they had to get on him before that number went up. They signed him for 2 years, $40 million. And according to Jonathan Jones at CBS Sports, the driving catalyst to that was to reunite Fields with his former Ohio State teammate, Garrett Wilson. Well, is that enough reason to give a guy a 2 years contract worth $20 million per year? I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to that. I'm just thinking out loud about how that would work. And to me, I think about when you look around the league right now, you are seeing an aggressive investment by other teams in the offensive and defensive lines, because teams like the Bears, teams like the Packers, teams like the Buccaneers and the Vikings and these other teams, they have not done a good job at drafting the trenches. So now they're having to overcompensate by giving out big contracts and making big trades. All right, coming up next, we will recap some more of the crazy first day in the NFL and get your final thoughts here in the Power Hour. There is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City.
It's Sixers Hawks tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Quick drives in traffic, spins, keeps it, drives, left hand layup, good. What a remarkable play by Grimes.
It's Sixers Hawks tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
Are you kidding me? He rocks the rim with a right-hand jam.
97.3 ESPN.
See Joe Coy and friends.
It feels good to laugh. That's why I tell people laugh. It's free. Not tonight. Not tonight, but tomorrow. Like to go laughing.
Don't miss them, Atlantic City. Saturday, October 18th at 7 p.m. Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets on sale Friday, March 14th at 10 a.m. at theoceanac.com. Don't miss Joe Coy and friends.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You don't need a President's or Valentine's sale. Get to Matt Black Kia and save every day with over 1,100 new Kias in stock or en route. All with 0 down, 0 payments until May. Even low 1.9% financing for 60 months on 25 Kia Sorento and Sportage SUV. So bring any trade, even if you're buried in a loan or lease. Matt Black Kia wants to get you released and into your new Matt Black Kia. Like the all-new 25K4. Just $129 per month lease with 0 security deposit and only $36.95 due. Matt Black Kia, your PA and New Jersey Kia superstores in Abington, Egg Harbor Township, and Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
With approved credit, $13.89 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblackkia.mj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through AMF. Rebates and incentives to be owner. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever. That's 4 lines on unlimited welcome for just $25 a line per month with autopay plus taxes and fees. You'll also get the new iPhone 16 Pro, 4 of them for the entire family when you trade in up to 4 phones from our top brands. That's a new phone for everyone, only on the network you can count on. Verizon. Visit a store today. 20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
So I have some good and bad news for Philadelphia Eagle fans. The good news is the Dallas Cowboys are still run by an idiot. And I know that's really mean. But I'm not here to make friends. Okay, I'm not here to lie to you and cater to you and be the nice guy. I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth is, I'm genuinely concerned about Jerry Jones' state of mental affairs. This is a man who literally avoided microphones and cameras in Indianapolis. He said, I'm too busy for the media. This guy is the media number one. Where's the camera? Where's the microphone? I got to talk. I got to be seen. Then he contradicts his own son about what the team's strategy is this offseason. And now they just keep dragging their feet when it comes to everything. And my question is for the Dallas Cowboys, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? You know, I'm almost starting to wonder, does Jerry Jones know that the end is near? And he's just trying to build up as much financial wealth for his children and grandchildren for when he passes away and let them squander the money. Just a thought. Now, the bad news for the Philadelphia Eagle fans is the Washington Commanders have had a great last few days. They traded for Laramie Tunsil. They've added Deebo Samuel. They re-signed Bobby Wagner. They brought back Zach Ertz. This is a team that swapped out a injured Josh Allen, who's been injured multiple times in the last few years, for a little bit younger and more versatile Javon Kinlaw. And they still have money to spend. They are a team that is going to continue to be active on the market. So that's the bad news for Eagle fans. The good news is the Cowboys are the opposite of the Commanders. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you next time.
Every choice you make matters. Whether you're dining out, grabbing takeout from your favorite local spot, or shopping for that perfect outfit at a neighborhood boutique, you're giving back to your community. It's not just about supporting businesses, it's about strengthening connections and keeping your community vibrant. Town Square Media South Jersey is proud to shine a spotlight on local businesses that make our area special.
Health Source Acupuncture Integrated Medicine, helping people with today's most